it's recording. Cool. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, y'all. Welcome to Hungry Hip Hop, potluck style reviews where we dish out the freshest takes on what these artists are serving up. We're looking for the spiciest bars, vibes, and production in order to expand our palates and diversify our playlists. Now, this is our first episode. Super excited. We got me, Mark, Juan, Alan, and then Milo. So today we will be reviewing Drake's latest project, Dark Lane Demo Tapes. So for a little background, even though I know y'all really need a lot because it's Drake. Drake is a Canadian rapper who is also arguably the most popular rapper in the world. He debuted his first album, Thank Me Later, in 2010. This was the follow-up to his critically acclaimed So Far Gone mixtape from the year prior. Since then, he had dropped all Billboard topping projects, including Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, If You're Reading This Is Too Late, my personal favorite Drake project, Views, More Life, and Scorpion. He is also the founder of the OVO record label. Drake started this record label after first signing the Lil Wayne's Young Money label. To say Drake is a star is underrated. According to Wikipedia, he has the most #1 singles on the Hot Rap Songs, Hot R&B, Hip Hop Airplay, and Rhythmic charts. Drake could likely do an hour-and-a-half set at one of his shows and play nothing but chart-topping hits. Dark Lane Demo Tapes is the first mixtape Drake has released since his 2015 project, If You're Reading This Is Too Late, which was truly more of an album, but we'll save that for later. Drake released his project on May 1st, 2020. This mixtape includes appearances from Chris Brown, Future, Young Thug, Playboi Carti, and Sosa Geek. When dropping this project, Drake also announced that a 6th studio album, currently entitled, will also be released this summer. So, get around to this. This project was okay, if I'm being real. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of this project, but then again, I'm also not the biggest Drake fan. Like I said, the only project I like is If You're Reading This Is Too Late by Drake, and he has a ton of projects. So, for me to say I don't really like this all that much isn't really saying a lot. To me, this was much more of the R&B Drake, which is some people's favorite Drake, obviously. For me, that is not my favorite Drake. I like a lot more of the rap Drake when he really goes hard with the bars and everything, which is why I also liked If You're Reading This Is Too Late. I felt there was a lot more rapping in that album. But yeah, so it's a lot of R&B stuff, a lot of the classic Drake singing about his woes of being rich, the rich lifestyle, sleeping with these women, or having these cars, these jewelry, doesn't know if he could trust people around him, stuff like that. Kind of typical sing rap where it's mainly singing, but he does it in a kind of little more rhythmic flow. There's a total of 14 tracks on this project. I'm gonna be honest, I liked maybe 5 of them, and I'd probably listen back to 3 of them. I'm not going to go over every track, obviously, but notable highlights for me were Chicago Freestyle. I don't really even like the track all that much, to be honest, but at the end of each of his verses, he has this flow that sounds like an Eminem song. I do not know what song this is, but it sounds like, do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Mark, it's the song Superman off
Superman. That's what it is. Okay, I was like, he literally is using that flow. I just could not think of what Eminem song that was. Okay, thank you.
The
okay.
whole pre-chorus, yeah.
That'd make a lot more sense then. Because I was like, gosh, this sounds familiar. I knew it was something familiar. But yeah, that was all right. Tootsie Slide. To me, this was a very weak attempt at a dance anthem. It sounded like he threw that together in an hour. I'm gonna be real. His other dance anthems are much better. Time Flies is probably my favorite slower song on this project. I like the lyrics of it. Had a nice kind of smooth vibe to it. I really thought that he underutilized his features for the most part. The song Desires that had Future on it, I did not think was good. I didn't think Future's part was anything special. D4L freestyle that had both Future and Young Thug, I thought that was a waste of superstar talent. If I'm being real. Young Thug's hook was okay. Future didn't add anything for me, and then Drake didn't bring anything for me either. Now, one of the tracks that was talked about most on this project before it came out and once it came out was Pain 1993. I know Drake had released it, or at least leaked it on an Instagram video or something like that, featuring Playboi Carti. And so all everyone kept talking about on this was that, what is that? Someone is driving in the background. Anyways, all that was talked about on it was how Playboy Cardi's verse was absolute garbage. People kept saying Playboy Cardi ruined the song. All right, did Playboy Cardi make the song better? Hell no. He did not do anything to make the song good. At the same time, without Playboy Cardi, the song isn't good. Like the
Yep.
beat is not great. Like Drake's rapping isn't great. Like, yeah, Cardi doesn't come in and save the day, but he didn't wreck the ship either, in my opinion. Like it just was not a great song. So I don't know why people kept complaining, like, oh, Cardi ruined. No, Cardi did not ruin it. The song was trash from the beginning. Um, you know, by far my favorite thing on this project was Demons. Oh my God. The beat on that song was fire. The beat was heavy hitting, like rap Drake. Both the features, Fivio Foreign. Do y'all know how to pronounce that? Is it Fivio Foreign? Fabio Foreign?
Just go with it, and then
I'll go with Fabio Foreign. Yeah, I thought like they like both him and Sosa Geek, all three of them killed it. That beat was hard. And then War, the song that was leaked, or not leaked, released like as the single, I thought was good. Like that was a pretty like decent rap song. I thought it was a really good end to the tape. But like I said, not my favorite Drake project. I probably, for the most part, won't be playing this again. I gave it like a decent amount of listens, at least 2 all the way through, and then 3 or 4, or sorry, yeah, 3 or 4 total. But yeah, I probably won't be playing this again. But I definitely might go back to Demons and probably War, and then yeah, maybe like one other. But that's
hey,
what I
Mark,
got to say about it.
if I can ask, how are you normally with Playboy Cardi? Are you usually a fan?
I love that's hard. Yeah, I would say I'm a fan. I love classic Cardi, like pre 2017, or sorry, yeah, pre 2018, 17 Cardi. But even his new stuff too. Like I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I still fuck with it. I still think RIP off his Die Lit project was dope. That project overall was garbage, but that song was dope. And the leaks that I've heard from his upcoming, if it ever comes out, Whole Lot of Red project, the leaks I've heard from that are amazing. And so like I don't mind baby voice Cardi. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's dope. I like he does it really well. But in this project, it was a trash verse.
Okay, I see where you're coming from with that. Yeah. All right. So, do you have any last thoughts on how to wrap it up, or you want me to start jumping in?
No, go ahead, jump in. That's all I gotta say about it.
All right, guys. Alan here. I gave this project 4 complete listens. Now, that was to absorb a lot of the bars that Drake was talking about, just like focus on the production. But I don't think Drake ever meant for me to listen to this 4 times all the way through. It really suffers from something that I see in a few Drake projects, where it starts out pretty strong. The opener on this Deep Pockets starts out with this kind of like really grimy, really mixtape kind of production. And I actually really liked it. Drake fully is actually rapping and stuff, and he has a line I really liked. Back when my house was just my home screen. I thought that was a pretty sick way to throw it back. But what I noticed a lot about Drake, especially sort of post Views from the Six, is that the middle of his projects, I feel like have a lot of filler and have a lot of similar productions. And Mark, when you were talking about having kind of weaker features, that's kind of where most of the features came in, where we have like Young Thug, who normally brings in so much energy to a track. And here I was just I recognized, oh, there's Thugger. But at the same time,
he didn't really add much.
Yeah, it's not really making me like, when I listen to a Young Thug song, I'm just like, want to get pumped and like act all stupid, but like that didn't happen on this for me. And so actually, that was one thing I did appreciate about the Playboy Cardi feature, that after we had gone through this like kind of slog middle section of Not You Too into like 2C Slide and Desires, Time Flies, Landed, and then finally when we got to Pain 1993, especially in my first listen, and I was just getting tired of this like same kind of muted drums, or like muted synths and drums that are just kind of like all sounding really similar trap 808 style. I actually liked the Playboy Cardi baby voice a little bit, even though I'd heard Pain 1993. multiple times before this whole thing dropped. Um, and so once we get down to like Losses and From Florida with Love, I feel like it definitely picked up a little bit. But by this point, I was just lost. Um, kind of the middle kind of like put me to sleep. And then even with Young Thug getting on the mic and like saying all the usual dumb shit that like pumps me up, it was just too late. Um, so getting a little more kind of specific, I did want to, like I said, shout out that song Deep Pockets to open the album up. Um, I actually really like that one a lot, and I felt good after it. Just thinking like, hey, this might be Drake really coming through with an album where he's back to rapping a lot, where he's back to not doing kind of what I viewed as kind of the weaker stuff off of Scorpion.
Mm.
Um, so Tell Me When started pretty cool as well because he starts out with this kind of like throwback soul sample for the intro, and that kind of takes me back to like listening to a Kanye West from back in the day or something.
So Childish Gambino, I actually recognize that sample, and Childish Gambino used it in one of his songs.
Oh,
I can't think of which one it is off the top of my head. I think it's from like it's like 2010 project. Juan, you know what I'm talking about? What's the name of that project?
Camp?
No, no,
Royalty?
no, no. Before the EP. What was it called?
Stone Mountain.
Before the very first EP, like EP.
Oh, cul-de-sac.
Yeah, Cul-de-sac. I think it was off of Cul-de-sac that he used as a sample, or it might have just been a single. But I know Bino definitely rapped over that sample, so I recognized it from that.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I guess that actually plays more into my questioning of how much like credit I give Drake. Is this like a shout out, or is this kind of just kind of a lazy? I know this production's worked for some people before, so I'm just going to put it on my song.
Mm-hmm.
For kind of like, I guess that's a really negative perception of it. But I actually didn't know that, so thank you. But that song wasn't doing a lot. I actually did enjoy the Chicago freestyle coming up next a lot too. I kind of love when you get the trap 808 drums coming in with kind of a slow piano sung like ballady song. Worked really well for singing the chorus out, and then Drake kind of raps about going in like to all these different cities and meeting all these girls and kind of feeling burnt out on that. And then he ties that in with, as we talked about, the Superman pre-chorus from that old Eminem song. And as he does that 2 times, I'm sort of wondering, okay, is this a shout out, or is this kind of just Drake kind of being lazy, not writing his own like take
It's
on
a
this?
mixture of both, in my opinion. I guess what kind of feels like.
Yeah, it's really up to how generous you want to be with using Superman. I just felt like it was a little excessive to take basically the whole chorus of the original song and then use it twice, and without even like mentioning Eminem. That was just kind of a weird decision on my part, but it worked out. Superman's like one of my favorite Eminem deep cuts from the Eminem show, so that was pretty cool. So after this is when I really feel like we hit kind of the filler stretch where we have Not You Too, Tootsie Slide, Desires, Time Flies, and then all the way into Landed. I feel like this kind of like 5-song set was when Drake just lost me. All the drums sound exactly the same to me, except for they barely changed the tempo a little bit, and they all kind of use this kind of spacey synthesizer on the other side of the production. And the song Desires, if you notice, after Future has this thing where he says like, well, unfortunately I'm still here, and he like has that whole kind of aside, kind of like a classic rap skit, but it's not really a skit. And I felt like that was just included because otherwise all the songs just really, really blend together in that stretch of the album, because the drums are all sounding exactly the same, and just the production is just going off, changing tempo a little bit. Also, that song Desires is probably one of my least favorite Drake songs ever.
It's boring as hell.
Well, it's boring as hell, but it's like a power structure anthem where like the story is going from Katy, Texas to Dallas, Texas. So the idea is Drake like finds this girl in this like suburb of Houston, Katy, moves her to Dallas, and then she starts complaining, and then Drake turns into like, well, I took you to all the expensive beaches and stuff. Why are you complaining now? And I was just like, this is a song about gaslighting. Like, why are you rapping about this, dude? And like, so I'm not super familiar with Future, but do you think that's kind of a Future thing? Because I heard he has kind of like really dark lyrics.
I don't know. I don't listen to Future, but I do see the memes with Future holding up the book of misogyny. Like I see those all the time,
Yeah.
and so I'm assuming that's based off actual like kind of the tone of Future.
Well, it's just kind of a different. It's just a different style because I'm used to rappers being like, "Oh, I got all these women who are just like trying trying to bang me and stuff." But this is one that's like, "No, I got this woman who like I moved out of her state and she's now trying to go home, but I'm going to tell her she has no friends and stuff. And you're in Dallas now." And I'm just
It's
like,
cold.
this is such a this is such a weird angle to take for a rap song where you could just say like, "Oh, your girl's on my dick," and that would just be fine. But now we have this like this ode to moving people far away from their families and stuff, and
Mhm.
and I just it's weird to me that no one has brought this up. Like, but all that to say, on top of just being the central, just perpetrator of the boring production and the like really slow 808s that are putting me to sleep, I never want to hear Desires again.
Mhm.
Time Flies, Landed, uh, both those I'm just kind of going to skip over, and I don't really have much to say either.
Mhm.
D4L to me, um, I am a pretty big Young Thug guy, and so kind of having that come and bring the energy back a little bit really helped me out
Mhm.
to draw me back in. Um, but it's not enough to redeem this project in my eyes that I feel like could have just been 20 minutes overall.
Mhm.
And then from Florida with Love, like it's a decent track. I feel like I'd put it maybe as the middle quality of this, where it's like not as good as Deep Pockets, but it's definitely better than like all the shit kind of in the middle.
Mhm.
Um, and then what was the name of the second to last one with those rappers?
Oh, demons.
Demons. I actually enjoyed Demons a lot too. It
Same,
really
bro.
like we really need to wait, Drake, you really need to bring some energy back, dude.
uh,
Um, that song Demons getting some UK rappers was a great idea. I wish you
mhm.
could bring that energy on more tracks.
Mhm.
And then War, I'm just completely I don't even remember how it sounds. I listened to this thing 4 times. I don't remember anything about it. Um, but all that to say, this isn't the worst thing Drake's ever released in my mind. I do feel like it does suffer from being really bloated and having a really long, drawn out track list.
Wait, what is the worst thing Drake has released in your mind? Just so I can know what to compare it.
Oh, bro. Maybe for me, it might be More Life.
Okay, okay.
Um, also, oh, I didn't mention 2C Slide. Like, if this is what you're trying to turn into Hotline Bling, this is not.
It's white,
This
right?
is not. I know what you, Drake. I know what you're going for. This is not Hotline Bling. Don't like, like, like. I see what you're doing. You're trying to make a viral dance craze, and that's fine. But the
Mhm.
song is too boring, and it's kind of like a forced TikTok thing in my mind.
It seems like he made that solely for the purpose of trying to get it to go viral, but then he didn't even put that much effort into it.
Yeah, but the
Like it's
song isn't even catchy.
yeah, it's not. It's not even catchy. It looks like he knows he's famous, and so he's like, if I could say some words and tell people like how to move their feet, it's gonna go viral. Which I mean, it did, so he's not wrong. But it's just such
Right.
a lazy sounding song.
It's yeah, exactly. It's a cynical take, and I can. It, I don't know. I don't appreciate the way it's just really, really bare bones. Because when I think of the closest song that was like this, it was for me um, Hotline Bling,
Hmm.
which when we were back in college, that was like the song 2015.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It was on a
Drake,
what, 18 or T-Mobile commercial or something like that. AT&T T-Mobile commercial.
I
One of them.
remember the T-Mobile commercial.
Yeah, it's T-Mobile then. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that to say, like Drake, I know you can do better than this, dude. You're just being lazy. You showed me flashes of it. Um, so just to wrap things up, my favorites on this probably going to be Deep Pockets, Chicago Freestyle, and Demons. Basically everything kind of in the middle, just trash. I'm not going to listen to again.
I feel that. I feel that.
So
Juan, what you
now
just
I
say?
will pass it off to Juan if you guys don't have any other questions about my take.
All right. So I would say that I consider myself a pretty big fan of Drake. My favorite albums from him are like Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, and More Life. I love the more like kind of R&B Drake and the dancehall Drakes, but like for the most part, his rapping has always seemed really subpar to me. The only exception for that would be like If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, which is like I feel the album where he best blended his rapping and singing into like one cohesive album.
Mm.
But lately I've been getting the feeling that Drake has just like been getting more inconsistent. Over time, I feel like he's putting less and less effort into his songs. And so I feel like Dark Lane demo tapes is the continuation of that in a lot of ways. He doesn't feel like he needs to prove anything. He's like the biggest artist in the world. So there's no more experimentation. There's no more trying anything new. And I feel like that was kind of the reasoning behind calling these demo tapes, is like wanting people to not be so having such high expectations.
I was gonna say that's why I was wondering like why he released this as a mixtape. Because yeah, I know technically if you're reading this too late was a mixtape, but
That was
then,
good.
that was good. And that was like, let's be real, that was an album. It was just for like I
Mhm.
think legal reasons or whatever that was like considered a
Some
mixtape.
contract stuff.
Yeah, but other than that, it's been all albums since 2010. So I was like, why is he releasing this as a mixtape if he's the biggest artist in the world? But then that's what I was thinking. It's like it's so inconsistent. Like,
And I mean, for me, Drake's always been kind of like background music that I've loved. Like I fall asleep to Drake. If I'm like playing video games, I'll put on some Drake, things like that. You know, things where I'm not like incredibly engaged because I feel like he creates a vibe more than he does like great songs or something like that. But these are like almost too bland at times. And so it's hard to even like pay attention or to even get a groove as I'm listening to them, just because they do feel like nothing stands out inside of a particular song. A lot of the songs felt like worse versions of songs on his last albums. Specifically, I felt like Deep Pockets sounded like a worse Tuscan Leather. Not You Too sounded like something that was taken off of More Life because it wasn't good enough. And like Time Flies sounds like something out of Take Care. He's done every song on this bed or somewhere else.
fully agree with that.
Right.
Fully agree with that.
The bangers are like, I think the bangers on this are really bad.
Not Demons.
But
Demons is hard.
I thought
I do
Demons
not
were
like
sick,
Demons.
dude.
Oh, I cannot take Drake with an accent anymore. Like it was okay in More Life, but like I don't want that. So I would say that I really liked the first half of the album. Alan said that he disliked the middle. I could kind of like 8 tracks in, just cut it in half and like keep everything off. That's at
Like
the
the
end.
second half. That I'm the last half of it.
Right.
Yeah, so Deep Pockets kind of feels like a standard Drake song, but I feel like his flow is like just constantly staying the same, and the same thing happens for that really simple beat that like loops constantly without ever adjusting. And what made Tuscan Leather so great was the beat switches. And so here I just feel like it was like the first half of Tuscan Leather with like worse lyrics.
Juan, so if I can say, Deep Pockets like was the song I enjoyed more, and actually the simplicity of the sample was something that I actually really liked. It showed Drake kind of in this element of, hey, I'm just gonna rap over this kind of simple beat for a few minutes, and that's something that I don't think Drake, like you said, does a whole lot anymore. So actually, so I see where you're coming from. It is kind of a really skeletal kind of production end, but at the same time, I personally really respected how he was saying, no, I'm just going to rap again. I'm going to show people that I'm still going to go out there and actually do it.
But I think the thing for me that was difficult is I just feel like his rapping wasn't good. It was very slow paced, he wasn't really writing the beat in an interesting way, so it just felt like I was hearing him talk like at a steady pace rather than like actually flow. Because I do like it when Drake just kind of goes on and on rapping, but like it has to be dynamic.
Okay, I see that.
For When to Say When, this could have been one of my favorite tracks, but I don't know if any of you heard that like producer tag come in near the beginning.
I don't
The
remember.
producer, it was like so smooth and like gently taking you in, and then the producer tag happens, and then it keeps being chill, and like the producer tag is way too much, and like it's such a weirdly placed tag. So that and the 808s made this not my favorite song. The 808s felt really cheap. They felt like underneath this like beautiful sampled instrumental, and they just like punched through in a really like annoying way for me. Also, I was surprised, Alan, that you didn't bring up his line where he said Michael Jackson shit, but the palace is not for kids.
I heard.
I did remember that. Yeah, because he brings up Michael Jackson on at least like 3 separate songs on this album, which is interesting. Because like even 2C Slide, I can dance like Michael Jackson.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but like in light of the whole drama about him and the girl from Stranger Things,
that is interesting.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
it is weird. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Drake out here getting a little too defensive.
It's got to make sure people know. So Chicago Freestyle, I thought was an incredible track. It's like one of like Drake's best songs in years. I loved Giveon's hook. Like the way it came in right at the beginning, I thought was like
beautiful. Yeah,
it was so catchy, and the way that it like changes and like he kind of switches it up throughout the hook is really cool to me. He was actually flowing well on the verses as well, and so it just felt like everything on that song was working together in a really cohesive way.
I really dug the piano on it. For sure, kind of just going with the slow pace. Really set kind of a better mood than I feel like the subsequent songs on the album did.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely Chicago Freestyle was definitely my favorite like R&B track on the album.
Let's see, Not You Too was, I feel like, both lyrically and sonically bland. It sounded like all of it was designed to be the outro of a song. Like it all just felt like it was ending, but then it went on for like 4 minutes or whatever. I did think 2C Slide was catchy. I've had it like stuck in my head all week. But I agree that it does sound like a very cheap attempt to like just cash in on TikTok and go viral, which I feel like is what he's been doing for a while with like really memeable music videos. So it's kind of like expected, but I definitely feel like this was like a less effortful attempt.
Well, his song with Lil Yachty, Oprah's Bank Account, where he had a verse on that.
It was nice. That was a nice verse on that song.
I really liked that verse a lot. Yeah. And so I feel like I almost expected more out of the album because he'd recently done this fire feature. But anyway,
that hook's not stuck in my head. Now I'm thinking Oprah's Bank Account in my head.
I actually haven't listened to that. Okay.
It's
I feel like I agree with everyone about Desires. For me, it felt like it could have been like a Sway Lee song. The line where he says, "I was too good for you, should have stayed solid. Nice guys always finish off where they started." Such a like diluted thing. I feel like this comes back to what Alan was saying about gaslighting.
Yeah, it's a creepy bars anthem.
Yeah, and I feel like he's always been like very like simpy music, idolizing these women and like talking about how much he misses them and fails them and stuff. But I feel like over time he's also become like aggressive in a really weird way. Inserting that into the dynamic is like especially creepy to me. And so that song just felt like disturbing in the way he like approached it.
I'm glad that you feel that way too, because I haven't seen any discussion online talking about like there's some weird power dynamics about this song that's not just like girls on my dick. It's like it's
like I would actually prefer girls on my dick.
Like yeah, in a way that's not what I would think of just like a cocky rapper, but like someone who is a criminal.
So that's all of like the first half that I've covered. And for the second half, besides Florida with Love, I didn't like any of them. Landed was just like really unremarkable for me overall. I felt like D4L was like really noisy, and it was just constant like rapping and then a hook, and then like ad libs throughout the whole thing in a way where there was no downtime at all. And usually on this album, I felt like kind of the empty space was too much the problem. So then when you like insert this one song that's just like pure energy, it's very jarring, and it just doesn't feel like it fits.
It woke me back up personally. I think, yeah, that's one area I think we disagree. I needed Drake to like bring me some energy back because I felt like the last three songs before this were just such a slog to get through.
And I want him to put me to sleep.
It's definitely jarring to just go, yeah.
So Pain 1993, I only liked Cardi's part. The rest of it was just bland to me.
That's wild.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah. I've never heard his baby voice because I stopped listening to him like before he started really like heavily using the baby voice. So I always heard people describe it as that, but I never really knew what they meant. It's not bad. It's weird,
It's
but
really,
it's not bad.
I don't know if y'all listen on Tyler Creator's Igor, he's on Earthquake, and it sounds good on that song. Like his baby voice sounds nice. Like it just depends like on if he like really puts effort, but he can make that baby voice sound really nice.
Lastly, Demons in War, the accent is like it's there on both songs. Besides that, they're fine. They're just like not very interesting to me. I felt like only one of the guests had a good verse. I didn't like Fabio or whatever.
We're calling him Fabio. I guess.
Okay, Fabio.
Fabio.
Okay, so that's kind of every song. But overall, I just felt like these songs were made way too quickly, and they ended up feeling a lot like rough drafts or like first takes rather than like songs that he put work and like time into. So that ended up meaning that like the beat bare bones and the flows are constantly just repeating. A lot of those things are like kind of just things that happen with Drake now, but I felt like even his hooks weren't good. I think there were one or two good hooks on this album, and the rest of just aren't attention grabbing for like Drake, who used to be like the king of hooks. I enjoyed this album, but it doesn't have me like excited or looking forward to whatever's next.
That's fair.
I see that.
Well, it's coming this summer, so I gotta be seeing it soon.
All right, so that's the end of mine. Milo, do you want to take it over?
Okay. So this album is like having your star player steal a bunch of other people's moves and then try to play in the game. And it's just a complete disaster. And he should just stick to his strengths. So this album was a lot of Drake, at least from what I took away from it, trying to be something he's not, running with these people I consider mumble rappers, at least. And a lot of the production style in the middle of the album reflected that. And even the rhyming he was doing in the middle of the album reflected that. And it was like watching Drake experiment. So I guess I deviate from the idea there wasn't a lot of experimentation. I think this was experimentation. He was riding on the coattails of his fame, but in the sense that, oh, there's this new wave, new style of rap that's becoming rather prominent. So I'll try to get in on that and see if I can be like Future, et cetera, et cetera. And it just wasn't working. So what I personally liked about the album were the songs where I got the old Drake. Like they say they miss the old Drake, Girl Don't Tempt Me. Like I miss the old Drake. So when I heard the Chicago freestyle and the production on that reminded me a lot of the quality reminded me a lot of his old stuff, like putting a sample, like a soulful sample in the background. And then even the content of that song reminded me of the old Drake because I've been listening to a lot of his projects lately. And the content pretty much centers around the same stuff like Mark mentioned earlier, sleeping with models, the woes of being rich, that kind of thing. And then When to Say When reminded me again of the old Drake, especially when he does that kind of old school hip hop. You say one line and then you come back to it. Like these people don't know when to say when. So it wasn't exactly like that, but at the end of the song, he caps it all off with the title of the song. Like that's the kind of old school rhyming that you don't see a lot of in this new wave of rap music. Deep Pockets I liked. just even like lyrical content there. Seeing splatter hit the ground and the snow freeze. That's such a powerful image. And pretty much right where Alan said the album took a dive is the same point I noticed when we got to Not You Too. And then it just turned into, hey, let me see if I can rap over trap beats, just like all the popular, all the features these days. Who's that young Playboy Cardio? Well, I'll see if I can blend off of his style. Like it was a sample, like he was sampling a buffet. 2C Slide, totally agree. Lame attempt at trying to go viral. Desire, didn't care for it. I actually did like the Nice Guys finish off where they started line. Not because I agreed with it, but because it was a good misdirection.
Right.
Because I thought he was going to say Nice Guys finish last, and then he said finish off where they started. So that was about the only redeeming quality of that line. Time flies. I wrote absolutely nothing. Like time literally flew. That was it. The song came and went. Other tracks I'd like to mention. So Landed. Juan said it was bland. Totally. My first note is, where's the artistry? The beat itself was boring. And it felt to me like he was trying to copy Kendrick's Humble Flow at the beginning of the song. And I was like, this reminds me a lot of Stay Humble. So once again, back to that inauthenticity. What else? Oh, there was one point in the song where it sounded like he forgot his lyrics. He goes, now she wanna, and then he takes a break and goes, now she wanna call like she don't know that felt like he goes, now she wanna,
It worked.
now she want, yeah. I'm like, what was that? And it worked. It worked on fucking Problems with ASAP Rocky. But here it was like, dog, what happened? Like, did you have to flip the page? So definitely Landed was not my favorite. D for L. Agree with Juan, did not like the energy. What is this tongue trick
No,
that
I
Future
was
was
dying
doing
when
toward
I heard
the end of
that.
the song?
I was dead.
Like, dude,
Is that supposed to be
pick
like a
up
money
the
counter?
phone.
Is that
What's
what it
going
was?
on?
Or what? Yeah.
That
Okay.
I think it was supposed to be a money counter. And I was like, no. The vibe of this song, it was pure ignorance. It's just pure ignorance. The beat, the only redeeming quality of the production of that beat was like that vaguely Asian
Like
scale
kind of
they
a
were kind of
sitar
doing in the
sounding
background.
instrument.
I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone noticed that. Losses to me was another good song. So the songs that I thought were good takeaways were Deep Pockets, When to Say When, Chicago Freestyle, but Losses I also liked. Liked the production style, like the little sample he had in the background. I like the lyrical content, even when being real is out of fashion.
That's a good one.
Niggas keep
Yeah.
stealing my style, and now we out here matching. That reminds me, he had another line. I forgot if it was off of Take Care or So Far Gone, but he was like, if all I'm hearing is me, then who should I be afraid of? See, this is the old Drake. That's why I'm here for it. It was good stuff. The whole, like, I'm not trying to make a song that these are cold facts, like having that refrain throughout the lyrics. Like, yes, that's what you're good at, man. That's what you can do. The last two songs I'll mention, once again, back to inauthenticity. From Florida with Love, he has this line, niggas had their pistols loaded, pointed at my truck.
Well, I mean, I know.
dog,
I was
who's
actually
after you?
reading, like, while I was like researching for this, I was reading that, like, at some point he got robbed. Like, he got his chain
Tell me.
snatched and whatnot at some point. So
he did get robbed. This is okay.
like,
Yeah, he's definitely not the kind of rapper who I think of like as going for bars that are talking about how rough it is kind of growing up in the ghetto. Drake, you're from Canada. Like,
you were a movie TV actor at 15, bro. Like, come on.
And then for War, I was wondering, like, the rhyme scheme was definitely interesting, but what was also very interesting was his attempt to affect an East London African accent. Like,
wow.
big shot, mom make the thing go, like, man's not hot. Like, I was like, oh, now you're really trying to push boundaries here. Once again, who's threatening you? The only I'll give the song one redeeming quality. It had a nice the line, just gotta fall in line like Soul Train. There. That's all I'll give War. But would I recommend this album to anybody? If you want to hear experimental Drake, sure, yeah. If you want to hear Drake try to do something new, definitely. If you liked Take Care, which I'm surprised by Juan. But if you like to take care, nothing's the same. Um, thank me later.
Wait,
I
you
don't
didn't
think
say
you
anything
would
about
like this
Demons
too
though. What did you
much.
think about that?
I thought the chorus and the beat was cool. The little like the wasn't a children's chorus, but it was a chorus of voices that they were using in the background. And I didn't like the lyrical content on that. I felt the second verse, but I guess that was Fabio's verse, right?
I think so. Yeah.
It was clear to me like it wasn't about lyrical content. That it was more about
It's a turn up song, bro. It was hard as hell.
yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Mark, I love the turn up songs too. I'm with you. Dude.
Come
I'm with you,
on.
dude.
Like I was like once I heard that, I was like, hey,
Yeah, let's
like,
get
that
it.
beat was hard.
And I think I might have misspoke. Juan, what was your overall feeling about this project? I got the impression that you didn't think it was bad, but you didn't think it was impressive.
Yeah, it just felt like the bare minimum of what a Drake project could be. There's not a reason to ever like return to it, or like besides I think Chicago Freestyle, like none of them felt like something I couldn't get somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. That's super fair. I don't know. The only one that I would, like I said, I would return to really is Demons. I like Chicago Freestyle, but at the same time, I could get that somewhere else. I mean, obviously, I could get Demons somewhere else too. But like that beat was really hard, bro. Like I don't know who produced it, but like that beat was really hard. So I like that. But yeah, Chicago Freestyle could get better versions of that elsewhere, in my opinion.
Well, Chicago Freestyle, you can listen to Superman by Eminem.
Yeah, literally, I can
And-
listen to Superman.
And that song is freaking fire.
Vivian's not on Superman by Eminem.
No, he's not.
I need that hook next to it.
The hook is nice. The hook is nice for sure.
So I will say, Demons, I feel like was the most well done of the bangers, even though I wasn't particularly feeling it. I do feel like the hook and the flows were all like on point. Something I thought was like particularly great.
You said you liked If You're Reading This Is Too Late, right?
Mm-hmm. It's
Did
probably
you-
I think it's Drake's best album.
Really? All right, I'm glad we agree.
Not my
on that.
favorite, but it's his best. I think.
Yeah, like I thought, like, and that is mainly. I mean, I don't remember liking the second half of the project all that much, or like at least the last few songs. But like the first 6, 7 songs are all like a pure fire lineup. Like it was like Energy, and like it's been forever since I listened to it. So I can't remember any of the tracks, Madonna, but like
Legend.
yeah, Legend. It was like a lot of like not party bangers, but like I don't know, the vibe banger. Like it was really like just like I don't know. It was
like
hard.
it's chill, but it's turn up. It's like a really good medium he found on that album.
That was oh my! I wish he would have kept making more music like that. I was
Mhm.
sad to see that like he didn't continue that mood or whatever. And like with all his latest projects, like Views, More Life, all that. Like I gave them all like one listen when they came out for the most part, and like they're just way too long. Like why is he
Mhm.
making 18-song, 20-song like projects that only have like 4 or 5 hits, bro? Like
Wasn't Scorpion like 2 hours?
yeah,
It's
like
like
Yeah, it was
A-side and
24
B-side,
tracks,
right?
I think. Yeah,
Jesus. Yeah, that was a good thing about
I
this.
never
one is
returned to that one.
Oh, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, Milo's
Scorpion
currently
next week?
doing, Milo's currently doing his own little reviews of Drake's projects. Which one are you on
Mhm.
currently?
If you're reading this, it's too late.
Oh, really? Have you listened to it already, or are you about to?
I'm about to.
Okay, gotcha. I'm curious to hear. What
And
you guys say
I
about
don't know
that.
because I started the first song, got 17 seconds in, was like, I'll do this later.
And you didn't have that vibe on this album. Interesting.
Well, he had
I'm
to
sorry?
listen to this one.
Did you have
I
any
do.
points on this record that gave you that kind of feeling like, oh, I'll come back to this later?
No, partly because of, the fact that we were doing it for the podcast, so I needed to
Mhm.
like get this underway
Mhm.
soon. And I think Deep Pockets was, I think Alan, you're the one that mentioned it. It was a pretty good start,
Yep.
and
I'm like the
I
only
was
one who really cared
invested
about that song.
up until Chicago Freestyle, and then I got to the middle part of the album, and I guess that was the point where I was like, okay, like buckle up.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
I don't think that Deep Pockets wasn't a good song, But to me, it was so typical Drake, which is what you liked about it, is that it was like the old Drake, and that's what I don't like. And so for me, it was like Deep Pockets was a good song, but it was boring to me. It's just Drake like slow sing rapping over a night over like a very deep beat, about his woes. And like I'm over that, bro. I don't really care.
I was going to ask, are you guys? Does this make you more hopeful for Drake's official new album coming this summer, or does this leave you feeling more negative?
More negative, definitely.
Why do you say that, Milo?
Because if this is the kind of content to expect, you trying to engender a completely new style that's becoming popular right now for whatever motivations, I think the most obvious one is clout. Then I'm not. I'm here to hear Aubrey, not young Aubrey or Playboy Aubrey. If that makes
Yo,
any
Playboy
sense.
Aubrey sounds dope.
Playboy Aubrey, though.
That would be a sick collab project between him and Playboy Cardi.
That's too clever, though. He wouldn't do that.
That'd be heat.
I'm wondering, does this mean that there's better tracks saved for the album, or does this mean this is the kind of music he's making? Like, I'm very torn about those two.
Well,
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Is it's kind of hard for me to say, well, this is a mixtape. I definitely expect more of an album, but you're not giving me very much to show me that you're going to be returning to form. When I think of like 10 years ago, Kanye West was at his lowest, and then he drops My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Like, I don't.
But Good Fridays, we knew that was coming.
Right, but that's awesome though, and this isn't like Good Fridays, so I actually don't think that Drake's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is coming out based off of this. And Drake, prove me wrong, please, but you're not really giving me that confidence.
It's been like 10 years since he's put out anything this low effort. Like his old
It's really
October
low effort,
Gloria.
right? Like really low effort.
Yeah. Yeah, like even if it's like something that people don't like, I feel like there was production quality and like thought put into it. And like this doesn't have that.
Okay, so I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, am I just not giving him the benefit of the doubt here?
Yeah. I mean, like I get why he would name it a mixtape, like solely for that reason. Is that like it just sounds super low. I feel like I honestly felt like he could have made all these songs in like a weekend or like a night, like even a night, but like a weekend, at somebody's house or some shit like that. Like it was super low quality in my opinion.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at, talking about the production in the middle section, where everything was okay. Here's this 808 sample that's kind of like hitting eighth notes on the snare, and then having one note accented, and then having that under kind of the synthesizer type sound. And then there's 3 or 4 songs that are all using that, but at a different tempo. And then that's why it felt like he needed to have Future being like, unfortunately, I'm still here. Because otherwise it all would have just, like, one, you called it one of the songs, one long outro kind of sounding. And that's exactly the vibe I got. And the reason why I felt like Drake wanted to put that in was to make it not feel like just one kind of bland, like 20-minute long mediocre song. Which I definitely kind of slipped into feeling like, oh, did the song change 5 minutes ago? I don't know.
Yeah. I agree.
Saying, yo, we still here? Unfortunately, I'm still here. Yeah, you and me both, Future.
Milo, you brought up that like you think Drake is kind of copying kind of more popular sounds, even though I don't really hear that like on this project compared to like his last few where I've seen that as well. I feel like the thing he's taken up is like I'm going to go in the studio for like 2 days and come out with something and then just put it out there. This kind of music can be put out so quickly and is meant to be digested in 1 week and then like thrown out.
I agree with one in that I don't necessarily see where you were coming from, Milo, with the he's trying to like ride the wave of like that new A drop or SoundCloud or whatever. Like I didn't hear that really at all. But it does, I don't want to say it, like I don't know, it does carry that kind of like mood of just like, yeah, I just like do some songs together real quick, blah blah blah. Hope y'all like it, whatever. Whereas like, I mean, I'm not saying they're better necessarily, but the SoundCloud rappers can actually get away with that and actually have better projects, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that Young Thug doesn't actually write lyrics; he just goes into the booth and like raps over whatever the beat's playing. You know,
Speaks in tongues.
no, for real, though. You know, and that's okay when you expect that from, you know, whatever. But once again, Drake is arguably the biggest rapper in the game, especially this decade or whatever. And so it's just kind of like from you, like I really, even if I don't like the songs, I'm still expecting like high quality. I'm expecting like an album you put, you know, like a year into or something. I don't know. I, in a weird way, actually, because this was not great to me, because this was bad, I actually do have more hopes for his summer project. And that if he was making a ton of songs and he decided to release this as a quick mixtape, then I would assume anything on his album should be much better than this. Like it only, to me, that only makes sense. Is that if you're gonna release two projects, one is a mixtape that's leading up to your album, all the best songs, except for maybe one or two, should be on that album. So in my opinion, this actually gives me more hope. Like I'm not excited for it. I could care less when the Drake project comes out, but nevertheless, I am more hopeful that his album should be better than this.
Mark, I really like that positivity. I unfortunately don't really feel that same way, and I'm not holding out that hope. And the cynical part of me kind of feels like calling this a mixtape intentionally makes people not feel the need to compare it to After Hours by The Weeknd, which came out a little while ago, which is just on every level much better than this in my mind. And, you know, both being from Toronto, I know that they've had beef in the past. And this album
Give him a shout out on this album.
The Weeknd did?
No, Drake gave The Weeknd a shout out on this album. It was on one of the later songs. It was like something about like I'm still friends with the guy who sounds like Michael or something like that.
I guess I misheard that because I heard him saying that he looked up to someone who sounded like Michael, who then went back to being PC, was the line I remember. And that I read actually as Kanye West going, now he's a Christian or something, whatever's happening with Kanye. And I guess if that's The Weeknd, then I interpret it that is kind of like, that is a good way to read it, that's an olive branch kind of reaching out to Abel. But knowing that they have beef in the past, the first thing that I was thinking of, knowing that Drake has been going in a more R&B direction, it's like, well, now there's these two albums coming out of Toronto, both at the start of 2020, and After Hours is just really, really good, like front to back, incredible. And this, like we said, just feels really lazy. And I don't know if I read that as Drake saying, don't compare this to After Hours because something better is coming up next, or I just don't want that comparison at all.
I mean, you are bringing up kind of a good point of why was this released in the first place? I guess you're doing more like why it's like labeled a mixtape in order for it to not be compared to After Hours. But for me, kind of another side of that question is, if you're releasing an album this summer, why the hell are you releasing this project? Like that, like why? Like I need a reason. Like you haven't done this for a single other one of your albums.
Because money.
Yeah, needs it, bro. Like,
I mean, that's
his first project in like forever, and that didn't go number one. Like this wasn't the best idea for right now.
Like I don't get it. I doubt he's struggling financially. It's like I just don't get the purpose of releasing this. I mean, in my opinion, trash mixtape 3 months before his project, unless he has a feeling that project isn't actually about to come out.
Oh, I just found the quote.
And what did it sound like he's saying on Thriller? Okay, yeah, I guess.
But even then, they could still have a rivalry.
Yeah, and I guess that just doesn't like immediately say The Weeknd in my mind. That could be a number of different people. But when you like lay it out and you ask me who I think it is, then probably I agree with you. I just wish it was a little more direct. But maybe we'll get more into that on the album. The other thing was, like, Juan, I know you said that you didn't love the end, and there was a lot of references to Florida and a whole bunch of shit going down in Florida. And he even mentions that I'm not going to respond to petty shit anymore on From Florida with Love, which is interesting because an album called Daytona came out a couple years ago. And, well, but being serious, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot. That's how the whole, like, we found out about Drake's son
Yeah.
coming off that song Infrared.
God, that was a great album.
And so it felt like he was in a way responding to that by saying, I don't care about it. And which I guess gets into the whole, he's kind of being hypocritical about it. I don't know. It's hard for me to read the whole Pusha T situation. I know Drake doesn't want to like further that beef anymore, but I did find it weird that he would then go and write songs like the stupid song with Future about like power dynamics and moving girls around and stuff. And after everything that happened with Millie Bobby Brown and stuff, some of the lines on this album were just so questionable. Like, just make average rap lyrics. They don't have to be deep, but just don't make them like really creepy for some reason.
Yeah. Like you're too big to be doing that, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I didn't like Scorpion, it did feel like he was trying to like grow up a bit. And this feels like kind of returned back.
That's a good point. I say that. I've only listened to Scorpion once, but.
So what were people's, all right, you got to pick 2 top tracks on this project. I know for me, I'm going with Demons and Chicago Freestyle. Roman.
Chicago Freestyle and Losses.
Chicago Freestyle.
What's the second one?
Chicago Freestyle.
For me, I'm going with Deep Pockets and Demons.
Okay. So it seems like Demons and Chicago Freestyle are the top 2 that we like.
Those are going on the playlist?
Going on
yeah, do we want to talk a little bit about the playlist right now? What kind of our goal is going to be with getting it off, how we're going to add a couple songs each week? Mark, do you want to talk about it? Otherwise, I can.
Yeah, sure. So the goal is that after each of these reviews, we'll add, like 1 or 2 songs from the project, ones that we can all agree that we like. We'll add it on the playlist, a Spotify playlist for all y'all. That way, y'all could kind of get a little sampler, of the music that we've been reviewing and the ones we like, And so, once again, from each review, we'll be adding a couple, unless it's just a completely trash album where we don't like a single song off of it. But likely we'll add a little here and there. So I'll start small, obviously, but eventually, hopefully over time, it'll be a nice, decent playlist that y'all can listen to and like. Y'all want to talk about what we're doing next week?
Yeah, I'll talk. So we're going to be reviewing another Canadian R&B artist, or actually producer, in Nav, with his album Good Intentions. This is one that none of us are particularly stoked on, to be honest. Nav is not someone who has, like, in my mind, any kind of vocal range. And when I hear him rap, it's always been kind of like at this mid-level of kind of tone. And so I've always found myself disengaging. But considering this isn't a podcast all about expanding our palettes, Good Intentions next week.
I've honestly never listened to Nav, except I heard his feature on Lil Uzi's Eternal Take. And I loved actually his feature on that, I can't remember what song it was. It was like this last song or second last song. But I can't remember what the name of the song was. But I do know other people who have heard Nav before and they heard that song, so that was by far Nav's best verse. And so I'm assuming he's only more trash than that. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. For me, I've loved his features on Travis Scott's projects. The last 2 I think he's had Nav on. Those have been like very interesting. But all of his solo work. What's that?
Oh, the song Yosemite. He actually has a really good last verse on it. Yeah,
that really mixed down verse that you can barely hear, but like flows so well. And then Beebs in the Trap off.
Is that a Travis Scott thing?
On Birds in the Trap?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's like he uses Justin Bieber as like slang for cocaine.
Right. Yeah.
Not Miley Cyrus. Yeah. All right. Cool. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you have any recommendations or anything particular like to hear, always feel free to hit us up. Let us know. Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Later, guys.
Deuces.
Bye.
Bye.